young quarterbacks in particular, but it really applies to any quarterback. You got to have the 3 Ps: protection, playmakers, and a good play caller. And
makes sense.
It's every week we get these weird situations where good teams end up, I don't know, falling short of the expectation that we've had for them. And it always comes back to one of those situations, right? And especially this weekend for the Buffalo Bills, they didn't really protect Josh Allen. He was running around. There's 2 interceptions. He was skittish. There wasn't real pressure there, but you could see him like, I don't want to get hit again, right? Type of thing. And he's throwing crazy passes. Dak Prescott with the Dallas Cowboys. Talk about playmakers. You lose Amari Cooper. We hit this going into the game because of COVID. He's out, and he's out for the Thursday night game as well.
Yep.
And then CeeDee Lamb gets hurt right at halftime. He bangs his head on the ground on that interception, and ultimately he doesn't return. And then they get drop after drop after drop. Like the playmakers were gone. It just feels like it always comes back to something like that. And I think we try to overthink it. But ultimately, it's either protection, quarterback scared, it's playmakers, guys don't make the plays, or the play callers don't know what they're doing for young quarterbacks. And that's kind of what we saw with a lot of these teams this past weekend.
It was crazy. I also didn't feel as if Dallas was emotionally really ready to enter that arena.
Moving the Sticks podcast, by the way. That's
Moving the Sticks. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't feel like Dallas was really ready to enter that arena.
Agreed.
Like, there was a different energy, and maybe this is unfair to connect these dots here, but remember last week during Dak's press conference when he was asked about, and I'm kind of using, this wasn't the word that was used to him, but kind of a litmus test or a referendum on who he is and maybe who the Cowboys are, and he scoffed at the notion, and it seemed fairly benign back then. I didn't really have, to be fair, I didn't really have much of an issue with it then because I thought that what he said was kind of accurate. Like, no, it's not just about me versus Mahomes. It's the Cowboys and the Chiefs and blah, blah, blah. But it was delivered in such, I don't know, not a soft way, but such a matter-of-fact way. Like, I wonder if the rest of the team didn't maybe take a little cue from that, because they didn't seem to be incredibly ready emotionally for this kind of a contest.
Yeah, no, you're right. And, this game was in Kansas City, so it's just a different energy to play out at Arrowhead for any team, but especially for this Cowboys squad. They did have some shakeups on their offensive line. Connor Williams, who's been their longtime starting left guard, was benched for Connor McGovern. And Connor McGovern got worked, BT.
Yeah, he did.
Chris Jones had 3.5 sacks in this game, Chris Jones, and a fumble recovery. He's the one that tipped the pass on that second interception. So Dallas's offensive line had a bad day on one of the worst stages to do it because everybody was watching this game. It was the game of the week, and they looked horrible. Only scored 9 points in this game. But you can't even put it all on their offensive line because Dak just kind of looked like he wasn't ready to play.
Dak played very, very poorly. Very poorly.
To your word, like soft, like not really aggressive. The interception that was intercepted right before halftime, I mean, that ball, it's man coverage. You got CeeDee Lamb man coverage. I don't know who the cornerback was, but CeeDee Lamb man coverage. Put that ball high pointed, back corner of the end zone. It's an easy throw for Dak Prescott. He threw it 8 yards short, and it was intercepted. So as much as you can make excuses for all the things around him, the drop passes and everything else, the bad offensive line play, Dak also had his share.
He did not play well.
Of bad moments.
And really now you start to look at it's not too early to start looking into, all right, so without overreacting and burying any team from, one alarmingly listless performance, to be fair, but there's still a lot of games to go.
But it seems like every good team is taking a week to do this.
Yes, and that's certainly been a theme of the season. Yeah. But now as you look at, the broad snapshot of the NFC here, like, all right, so the Cardinals now are winning without Kyler Murray. Their coach continues to, and Hopkins, by the way, their coach continues to distinguish himself in Cliff Kingsbury. The Packers yesterday. All right, you want to tell me it was an ugly loss? First of all, it was a great game, but they have a better record than the Cowboys do. Tampa only has the one win they're playing tonight. I think you and I expect a fairly competitive game. Giants, 11 points seems ridiculous. I certainly think the Giants cover. I think that they hang around. But the point being, the Bucs should pick up their 7th win tonight, and the Buccaneers already beat the Dallas Cowboys in week 1. It was a very competitive game, but you've got that head-to-head checkbox or check in the box,
Yes.
right? So Dallas suddenly, again, without overreacting, but Dallas suddenly went from a no-brain heavyweight to a team that's kind of drifting between tier 1 and tier 2.
Yes.
The only question is, which tier do they wind up in?
Yeah.
That's right now, they are not a definitive tier 1 team, because there was a couple of weeks ago, I know Dak was coming back off the injury, but they played horrendous against the Denver Broncos. Horrendous.
Yeah.
What was that, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, it was
recently
30-0.
It was 30-zip before they scored a couple of cosmetic points aesthetically that meant like it made it look better. You watch the game, they got their asses handed to them. So all of a sudden, 2 of the last 4 games, the Dallas Cowboys have looked bad.
Yes.
They look pretty bad.
Very bad. And now, just like in the AFC BT, the NFC is starting to look jumbled a little bit. I mean, not as jumbled as it is in the AFC, but you look at the Dallas Cowboys and you're like, 7-3, they got the NFC East, but Philadelphia's playing good at football.
They're playing very well.
And it's not with their passing game. It's not explosive. It's Jalen Hurts putting the ball in the end zone 3 times on the ground, just finding ways to win, right? And so could they? They're probably not going to catch the Cowboys, but they still got to play them. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and I play like I have the 2 of the last 3 weeks, they might lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's getting jumbled in the NFC East. Green Bay, they just lost to Minnesota. I know they have a 3-game lead, theoretically in the win column because they have 8 wins and Minnesota only has 5. But Minnesota's been a good team. They've
had a lead in every game. How about that stat? They've had a lead in every game this year,
right? And a lot of them in the fourth quarter. BT, they can't hold on to them, so they could easily, be a team that is dangerous in the postseason. Tampa and New Orleans, I think the South is probably Tampa's, unless Tampa comes back to earth.
Nah, nobody's clipping them there. Nobody's going to catch the Bucs.
New Orleans lost this past week. I mean, they look bad. Carolina, the Cam Newton experiment is kind of awesome, but I mean, they fell short against Washington.
Yep.
Atlanta looks atrocious.
They really do.
Atrocious.
Going back to Thursday, they got shut out.
Yeah, shut out. It was just an atrocious loss.
But
But then you go to the NFC West and Arizona and the Rams, San Francisco. They're playing better.
Much better.
Winning some games. They're still 500, but they're playing better. It's getting jumbled in the NFC.
Yes,
kind
it
of
is.
just like it is in the AFC. I think that's just the nature of the NFL this year.
He is an unflappable leader. So I do believe that Dak is able to regenerate. I believe Dallas will regenerate. And, they're playing the Raiders coming up on Thursday. The Raiders suddenly have lost a couple in a row. They can't score. It's become a real pop gun offense. They looked terrible against the Bengals yesterday. But here is something that I think needs to be thrown out there with the Cowboys. And if there's one aspect of what I'm not sure or what I don't know what to expect, it pertains to the head coach. We can all sit here and say, well, Mike McCarthy's got the Super Bowl. And he does. He's got a championship. He is literally a Super Bowl winning coach. But now, I'm not saying I don't put this necessarily on McCarthy, though they weren't really ready to play, but there were circumstances, to be fair. McCarthy has not proven during his short time in Dallas, nor at the end of his lengthy run in Green Bay, that he is a definitive asset, that he's a difference maker, that he's an elevator. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Awesome. I mean, and again, I'm not denigrating the resume. Literally has one. But has he shown the ability to lift a team out of the despondency, the doldrums, elevate? No, he is not. And he looks very chaotic. Things become very chaotic too often on Sundays, timeouts, down and distance, clock, all the things that you need that your head coach to be awesome at. Mike McCarthy's not that good at. So I'm not saying that he can't get this straight, but by no means am I getting on the radio on a national, with a national platform saying, "Oh, they'll be okay, they'll be fine because of McCarthy."
Yeah,
I don't know if they'll be fine because of McCarthy. He might make it worse.
It's not what you're going to point to and say, "I feel good about the Cowboys because of."
Correct.
It won't be Mike McCarthy. It could be because they're so banged up, wide receiver, not banged up, but unavailability of their playmakers because Amari Cooper is out. He's going to be out again on Thursday. They're playing on a short week, the Las Vegas Raiders, who haven't looked great. But, I mean, again, it's a Thursday night game. Anything could happen.
Thursday, not night game.
It's a day game, whatever. It's an afternoon.
Yeah. You got Lions, you got the Cowboys, then you got the 3. Yep.
Yeah, it's the afternoon game. The 4:30
Don't mess with the meal schedule here,
I know,
Come
right?
on, man.
That's the one where you have your meal.
That's the one you got to watch.
That's right.
Lions will drop to grandma's. May throw you on the radio, put a little bet in. We don't really care what happens there.
That's a good point.
It's been like that forever
the
with
Raiders
the Lions.
And Cowboys, you're scrambling to finish your meal.
Yeah.
You got 10 minutes.
Or starting the meal later. depending upon. But no, if you start after the Cowboys game, that is a rule that we never break. You got to eat before the Cowboys game. You have to have a fat belly.
Yeah.
You got to grab that second or third beer or a refill of the scotch or the wine for the ladies, and it's football time. Yeah. I want to have eaten as I sit down to watch the Dallas Cowboys, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
So that's 4:30, afternoon, not even. It'll go into the evening, but whatever. It's
who's the night game? I don't even have that in front of me. Why am I forgetting? Stugets, who's playing the night game?
I don't know who the night game is because it changes now. It used to be.
No, it fluctuates. No, they rotate that.
Yeah, I don't know who
it is. Mike, who's playing the night game?
Don't know yet. Yeah, Stu's looking it up. He's trying to find it.
Oh, there it is. Bills at Saints.
Bills Saints.
Thank you, TV.
Yes, thank you, TV. Bears Lions we knew. Raiders Cowboys.
Bills at Saints is interesting. Dude, both teams are
waffling
so hot here.
I mean, Trevor Siemian is just not, not that guy. We knew it was.
Come on.
But
was that breaking news? Trevor Siemian's not the guy?
But I'm just saying.
Come on.
We'll get to the Bills in our next segment, but they have some issues as well.
Yep.
So, but we'll get to them in a second. But yeah, the Bills and Saints will be. I don't even know if that's going to be. Maybe it'll be a good game.
It's at the Dome. Both fan bases are great. So if it was up in Buffalo night game, they'd be all lathered up. Superdome's going to be popping.
Yeah.
That'll be a game that I will watch, and I will be, 4 pounds heavier and a little buzzed at this point. But I will watch that because there's some implications. The Patriots can start running away with the AFC East if the Bills don't stop messing around.
That's a good
point.
point.
About winning the division. The Pats could run away with it.
That's a very good point.
It's a big game.
Yeah, the Bills at one point felt like they were beyond reproach in the AFC East.
I thought they were one of the 3 best teams in football.
And nobody was catching them. No matter how good the Patriots got, nobody was catching the Bills. Now, I honestly feel like the Patriots are in control of this division. And,
I agree.
They're only a game, and a half a game really, because they played one more game than the Buffalo Bills, but they're half a game ahead of the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots are. And it feels like because they've won 5 in a row or 4 in a row. Is it 5 in a row?
I think it's 5.
I think you're right. They've won 5 in a row. It just feels like the New England Patriots are heading to where the New England Patriots generally are, say for last year, and the Buffalo Bills are trying to figure themselves out right now. They're in a dangerous spot right now, Buffalo, because if they slide a couple more games, they're not winning the division.
No, we're going full throttle Bills next segment. But just to wrap up all this stuff here, we spent so much time on Dallas, and rightfully so. Kansas City, I in a weird way. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I would almost prefer, 19-9? 19-9 rather than 41-38.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that shows me, all right, there's a modicum of defensive resistance and growth. And you've got to expect the Chiefs offense to get a little, Clyde Edwards is back. Yep. I mean, I think that if given the option, a high-scoring, close win or a reasonable runaway, low-scoring, I'll take what the Chiefs gave us yesterday.
Well, I think what this shows with the Chiefs, because it honestly, it's felt like all season with the Chiefs, if they're not scoring 40 or 30 something, it's like, dude, they're not going to win. Their defense has been so bad. Remember the narrative at the beginning of the season, how bad their defense was? Mm-hmm. They got to outscore you. It's the only way that they can win because their defense can't make any stops. But over the last couple of weeks, their defense has actually gotten pretty effective at getting after opposing teams. Frank Clark had a good game as well. Chris Jones, we mentioned earlier, with his 3.5 sacks and a pass defended, the tip that was ultimately intercepted. So they're starting to get better on the defensive side of the ball. And so if you prove, hey, look, we can win close ones. Mm-hmm. We can win an ugly game just as much as we can win a shootout. It makes you feel better about yourself for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs, let's face it, they came from the bottom of the West. Like they were sitting down there dead at whatever their record was, 3-4. I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 3-4.
I think it was 3-4. Now they've ripped off 4 wins in a row.
A couple close ones. They easily could have lost to the Giants, but they didn't.
Yep. Green Bay was tight as well.
Absolutely.
13-7, that one.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you're right. They've been able to rip off 4 in a row. Some of them have been runaways. 41-14 against the Raiders. That was a runaway. But the other 3, they've been tight games, and they're winning in tight ones.
It's building some character here, Tiki. And how about this?
And they got a bye week.
And that's right. They have a later bye week this year. I don't know. I don't get too deeply into this stuff. Like I don't, I like the game action. I don't really do individual DFS stuff. So sometimes I do. A lot of, so I don't know if they offered odds to this. They probably do. But what would the odds have been for Dak and Mahomes to combine for no touchdown passes? And they played the whole game.
There's no way you would have taken that.
Wow. How about that?
No chance you ever take that bet. Ever.
No, I mean, unless you throw like $10 to goof around.
That's
and,
right.
You win, I don't know, $5,000. It's crazy. Who would ever thought that? And the amount of times they dropped back and threw the ball, they threw it 80 times combined.
I know.
It's not like it was like raining sideways or snow, and each team ran it, 36 times and 41. Like they were slinging it.
Yeah.
No touchdowns. Crazy.
And 3 interceptions. The only little caveat, BT, with the Kansas City Chiefs is that they are still turning the ball over a lot.
I know.
They've got, over the last, I want to say 5 or 6 games, they're even in the turnover battle. They've gotten 11, but they've given up 11. So it's not like
it's Bush.
It's not like this problem that was plaguing them earlier in the season has fixed itself.
Mm-hmm.
They're still negative in the turnover, or not negative, but they're abysmal in the turnover.
It's not an asset.
No,
it's not a part of what they do well. But at least if you're even, you can function off that.
That's right.
With Reed and with Mahomes and with the weapons they have, and now a little defensive surge. We'll see. We'll see where Kansas City goes. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.